Are you struggling with medical collections on your credit report? Are you trying to figure out whether they should be there in the first place? Let me show you how to effectively use dispute letters to get those things off. So pay attention. All right. There's several ways that you can do this, but keep in mind that these letters are designed to help protect your privacy under HIPAA, because your medical information should not be available for public consumption. We want to make sure that anything that they do report on credit is compliant with the Fair Credit Reporting Act as well as the FDCPA, to ensure that none of your private information is being released, because sometimes medical information, just reporting it, can tell a lot. Each of these letters that I'm going to talk about target a specific entity in the medical debt collection process. So make sure you're going to understand that when and how to use each one of these letters I'm going to talk about. And then by doing so, this will maximize your chances of successfully disputing unauthorized or inaccurate entities. So the first scenario is where we have a HIPAA validation letter that goes to the credit bureau. So the purpose of this letter is intended to go to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion when you find medical debt reported on your credit report that you believe lacks the proper authorization to be released. So of course you obtain your credit report. You want to prepare documentation. You want to make sure you make a copy of the credit report highlighting that disputed area where you've highlighted or marked it up to do so. Make sure you got a copy of your ID and your proof of address ready to attach to the letter. You want to send the letter. You want to complete the HIPAA validation letter to the credit bureau. Now my DIY credit repair course has that letter in it for your use if you want assistance with that. You could also try to find it online. There's a lot of places that sell dispute letters. You just want to make sure that it's a proper letter and it has all the right pieces. So you send the letter. So you enter the account number, creditor name, specific date of the medical service that the debt was related to, right? So once you create your letter, you want to send it via certified mail. Always recommend it with the return receipt. That way you can document that your request was received by the credit bureau, right? Typically, I don't recommend in a lot of dispute instances the certified mail, but for this one, I highly recommend it. And then you want to follow up. You got to give the bureau 30 days to investigate and verify the debt. You want to monitor their response and check if they've removed the disputed item or provided sufficient validation that it should be there. So it's important that you do that follow-up. Now the second type of HIPAA validation letter is one that goes to the health care provider or medical facility. And the purpose of this letter is to contact them. This could be the hospital, this could be the doctor's office, etc., and you're contacting them directly instead of the bureau. This kind of letter is especially effective when the provider reporting is the one who reported or originally released the information that might not be in compliance with HIPAA. So it might start with them, they told too much. And instructions for use. Now, here's where things can get a little sticky, just as a side note. Let's think about this for a minute. Say, for instance, the doctor's office is a specialty doctor, or the hospital is a specialty hospital, and so they provide billing, an invoice which went to collections and ended up on your report, where it might have said ABC Oncology. Now, obviously, anyone who knows, who's familiar, oncology is medical treatment for some type of cancer. And so just by saying they billed someone for cancer treatment, you've let it slip out the bag that this person had cancer, and so indirectly you've made public their medical status at some point in time, if not currently, at least in the past. So you can see how right then and there, if something like that shows up, you already know they're not in compliance. So keep that in mind. So with the HIPAA validation letter going to the medical facility, you want to identify the provider. Like I said, if that's the name, that's important. You want to locate any contact details for the medical provider. So you may have to look them up, you may have to Google them or something like that. You want to include relevant account information. So if there's an account number, service number, something like that, case number, you want to list that. The date of the service when it was provided, and of course, service description. Now here again, if the service description outlines any procedures that are directly identify your medical status, that could be enough to get it off your credit report in and of itself. So it's important to gather that and make note of it. Of course, you want to attach any documentation, including your driver's license, ID, whatever government ID you got, and any billing statements or credit report entries that show and highlight the disputed debt, the item you want to dispute. Of course, like I always say, you want to mail it certified with the return receipt. And then you want to monitor your response. Because remember, the provider must provide documentation verifying that they are in compliance with HIPAA. If they cannot, you may have grounds to request the removal of the item from your credit report and file complaints with any regulatory bodies if necessary, because there's some federal privacy laws for medical under HIPAA that you may be able to pursue as well. You may even be able to get damages if you can show damages. Now the third type of HIPAA validation letter is one that goes directly to the hospital, if it's a major hospital. So the purpose here when dealing directly with the hospital is that you want to use this letter to request validation of any medical debt that they may have shared with a collection agency or a credit bureau. So they may have sold the debt. How much did they share when they sold that debt? And how much information did they share with the credit bureaus? And so using this letter, you want to prepare account and service details. You want to make sure you fill in account information related to that specific hospital's services and the dates that the services were rendered. You want to request itemized billing information to ensure that each charge that they levied was verified and prevents unauthorized items from appearing on your credit report. Because again, individual charges may come from individual procedures, and any of those procedures, if they're listed in the itemized billing, would tell what kind of medical condition you may have based on that service. And so by listing it in the itemized billing and providing that to one of these parties, they may have violated HIPAA by telling too much about what your medical condition was and what they treated you for. And of course, you want to attach a verification of your identity and certified copy of the credit report to include any supporting documentations, especially if the hospital claims appear inaccurate. Of course, you want to send all that certified mail, as I always say, that way we can track it. And then you want to await verification, just like we always do. And so, if the hospital cannot verify the debt without violating your HIPAA privacy under its standards, then you can request its removal from your credit profile and take further action from the regulatory authorities if necessary. So keep that in mind. So it's not just about, whether the debt is yours or not. It's about whether they can report it, and each time this information is being shared, is it being shared and keeping your medical privacy intact at the same time? So while many of these may not get you out of the debt, but if it's not supposed to be on credit, that's a problem. But if they're sharing information amongst each other, whether it ends up on credit or not, if the hospital is sharing too much information with the credit bureaus, that's a problem. If the hospital is sharing too much of your medical information with the collection agencies, that's also a problem. And so if anywhere in the information exchange we can show a violation, that may be enough for you to get sanctions levied against them and may even sue them for damages. So that's a side benefit, although we know our primary goal is to clean up the credit from any of this negative stuff. And so the fourth validation letter goes to the collection agencies who got the medical debt. So of course the purpose here is to address collection agencies directly when they report medical debt or attempt to collect without proper authorization. So how do we use this? Of course, we want to gather debt details, as we always do. We want to note the collection agency's name, their account number if they're using a different reference number from the original medical bill account number, the date of service to make sure that what they're claiming is matching up with some original debt from the hospital or other medical provider, and any other information related to the original medical provider. So we want to make sure that we're matching up any third-party collections with the original creditor, again, establishing that trail of information being shared, and we want to see what was being shared along the way. Of course, we want to request specific documentation. We want to use the letter to demand evidence that every exchange of information was HIPAA compliant and that authorization for reporting and collecting on the debt was legally made. We want to make sure we include requests for itemized breakdown of charges. That goes to accuracy as well. We want to make sure we include supporting documentations. So you want to provide a copy of your ID and your address verification, of course, and any credit entries showing the debt. Of course, as always, we want to mail the letter, return receipt, certified mail. You've heard me say that 100 times. Of course, we want to follow up because we got to give them that 30 days to respond. So remember, collection agencies must respond with validation or remove the item from your credit report just like anybody else. Remember, if no validation is received, you can use this as leverage to escalate your case with the CFPB, the Federal Trade Commission, or even your state's Attorney General. So you got a lot of government agencies on your shoulder if these folks are not sharing your information correctly or not reporting it accurately and without violating your HIPAA privacy rights. So I talked a bit about these 4 different types of letters. Now, if you are looking for that, now in my course, I provide templates for these letters. So that's available. If you're looking to get these letters, you want to make sure that those pieces, those essential parts are in your letters. If you want to try to create one yourself, if you shop for a template somewhere online, I recommend if you can take a peek at it ahead of time to make sure it has the essential elements that I outlined. You can always reach out to me. I can provide templates for these as well as other letters. I can make those available in kits if you want to do that. But again, I can offer you a third option. I have a DIY credit report software platform. It is AI powered. I recommend that if you're working on your credit yourself that you use this. It's a great tool, and you can use this. You simply upload your credit report. It will look at your report. It will flag in all of your negative accounts. It will offer you options on how you want to dispute it. If you choose how you want to dispute it, then it will custom create a letter for you addressing that specifically in the item from your credit report. And so it can generate each of these 4 letters for you, and then you can print them out, attach your documentation, and you can send that off, certified mail. I recommend it to help address and dispute those items. There's also a third-party service that they can print everything out for you, and you upload they can print and mail it all for you. You just need to upload, in addition to the letter that you picked out and it generates for you, you would upload the accompanying documents that I talked about, your ID and any supporting documentation, so that they can send that off to the various entities depending on which letter you got. Remember, one goes to the bureau, one goes to the hospital, one goes to the collection agency, one goes to the hospital or other provider. So depending on where you want these letters to go, they can do all of that for you for a nominal charge. So in short, let me offer you some best practices when doing all of this, putting all this together. You want to send certified mail. I've said it 100 times. I think it's really important when you want to track these things, especially when you don't hear back from them, because then you don't know, did they not receive it? Did they reject it or whatever? So it takes a lot of mystery out of the process. You want to attach relevant documents. I mentioned that. This way, they'll look at everything at once. You don't want to take a chance sending missing documents thinking maybe they'll ask for more, because they could flat out and deny you just because it's incomplete or missing documentation. You want to make sure you always keep records organized. Another beauty of using my DIY platform is it'll help organize a lot of that for you, especially those timelines, because each time you send letters, it puts in a 30 to 45 day date for you to say this is when you want to follow up. And then of course monitoring those timelines, because you still want to have it straight in your head, even though you'll have a system that will help that for you. Remember, 30 to 45 days is the turn time on each one of these actions. So that is largely why credit repair processes take as long as they take. So remember, these are HIPAA based dispute letters, and they're intended to empower you to protect your privacy rights, your medical privacy rights, while ensuring that medical debts are only reported with proper authorization. And so by following this step-by-step set of instructions, you can handle your dispute process effectively and ensuring that each entity provides accurate and compliant reporting, or they remove it because it's unverifiable, and then get that off your credit report. And especially when it's negative debt, it's collections. By removing that you're cleaning up your credit, and you should enjoy higher scores as the result. Right, so now I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative, good, and choose those options, which one works for you. That will get you your success. If you like this video, I would ask that if you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way, as I upload videos, because I upload fairly consistently, and that you always get notification, because I'm trying to provide that good to everybody out there who wants that. I'm trying to raise your credit consciousness and do that by doing that. Please share your videos by clicking the arrow down there. You can share it with friends and family. You can share it on other social media if you think if it's beneficial to some of your other friends and followers and connections there as well. And so I would hope that you would comment below. I really want feedback. I love it when you guys say, oh, great, that's awesome, terrific, glad you did it. But I really want your feedback. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what credit concerns that you have on top of mind, and I will create videos for that. And I also have a Wednesday webinar where you can go join me on Wednesdays live, and you can submit questions there. I also say that you can learn as much from other folks in my community that ask questions as well, because you'll find that most people share your pain, and they're going through some of the same things you're going through in your credit journey. So thank you for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next video, family.